Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Super Canon Plus.
Always a joy. I love it, man. What's
Oh, yeah.
up, guys?
What's
How you
Man,
up?
what's
doing?
cracking on the lacking, son?
Y'all, Joe's ready to get this one going.
Oh yeah,
Woo!
I done got about 280 milligrams of caffeine in me. We're ready for this podcast.
Oh,
Let's do
yes, sir. Let's do it. So I'm guessing your weeks have been fantastic, it sounds like.
Well, considering we're in day 2 of the week, it's not too bad.
Not too bad.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but I've been walking on streets of gold. Now it's pollen, but the streets
Yeah.
are gold.
That's a little bit more greenish than yellow gold, though. I'm tell you what.
It's not
Oh,
pure,
man.
but it's gold. Okay,
Oh,
a little dross on top.
I wish it had some street value to it because we'd all be rich.
Absolutely.
I
Man,
might have breathed in a brick myself.
We got the pine trees out here doing lines of pollen on the driveway out here.
It's tough.
Yeah, the only ones loving this is the bees. They're loving the pollen.
Right.
I got a theory on that. I think the reason why we've seen such a huge influx of pollen in the last few years is because of all the deforestation that they've been doing. They've been cutting down a lot of trees in the South down here lately over the last couple of years, making room on the interstates and big buildings and stuff coming in. I know they've done a lot here in Southeast Georgia. It's been unreal the amount of clearing that they've been doing.
Mm-hmm.
How about it there?
Do you think that's what's steering up the pollen? Is all the clearing, or?
Well, I think what's happening is, I mean, personally, I think that the trees are having to like overproduce. I think they're trying to make up for what's not there anymore. So it's like, oh, wait a minute.
I mean, you talking about they're forming a committee somewhere? Are they having like this tree getting together and going, hey, we got to pull a little bit more this week, or what?
Hey, look,
it's a part of their HOA.
Plants communicate, man. They really do. And they share information. They share nutrition, all kind of stuff. You didn't know that? Come on, bro.
No, man.
You getting into all this gardening stuff, man. You should know this.
I saw Avatar. That's as close as I got.
Yeah, I know, right?
Have you ever had like a pile of compost or anything, or mulch or anything like that in the yard?
Okay. Depends on what kind of compost we're talking about.
Well, I was getting worried.
Well, if you got a pile of compost or mulch or whatever, and you let it sit for a while, and you go out there to go turn it over, you might see some like white fungus or something growing inside of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, what that is, it's like a microbacillin, and what that does, it's beneficial. There's beneficial fungus and there's beneficial bacteria underneath the surface of the soil, and it allows plants to communicate and share stuff. So if you've got if underneath the top of the surface of the ground, if underneath that you've got a large group of microbacillin and various other bacteria and fungus, you could completely starve out. If you'd had a long row of tomato plants, let's just say, and you only watered the plants on one end, that microbacillin would transfer the water through all the way underground and connect to each plant. You could overwater the mess out of one end and it would water all the other tomato plants in that row. Isn't that crazy?
Look here, folks. This is not a good-looking guy. He knows what he's talking about when it comes to microbiome, whatever it's called.
I'm just saying, God's
is it
good,
safe to
man.
eat or not? Is that what are we saying here? Do or do not eat.
I'm worried about you now because what I'm thinking right now is you just walk through the woods and you're like literally having conversation with the trees. You doing okay today? Is everything okay?
You should talk to trees.
How was the last meeting? Is everything?
It's part of God's creation, man. You should.
No, that's awesome. It is amazing to see how things work like that. There's so many circle of life things that go on. We're just like, wait a second. So the tree drops the fruit, but the fruit feeds the tree. That sounds like tree cannibalism. But the way God has it set up, it works out every single time. You could leave a tree and never touch it, and it'll do what it's supposed to do.
That's
just
right.
By itself, and that seed will make another seed. Will make another seed forever. We're eating fruit off the original seed. That's crazy to me. I still don't understand how that works.
Yeah.
Trees and plants, they respond to various types of music.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
know, certain types of music will promote growth, while others they're greatly restricted in their growth.
Yeah.
You ought to do that. Have y'all heard about the experiment where people talk to plants? Like they plant two plants side by side or whatever, and they tell one of the plants, you know, oh, I love you, you're beautiful, you're growing so big and strong and healthy, and da 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 da.
Yeah.
And on the other plant, they're like, oh, I hate you, and you're, you know, no good and good for nothing, and da 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 da. And that tree like barely produces anything, if it ever produces at all.
Yeah.
Like
Power
that's
in the word,
crazy.
brother.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, here's the thing too. I heard that they were using heavy metal rock music to get the trees to grow faster, but then they started breaking too many limbs. You know, moving, and it was like, yeah.
They were limb banging.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, yeah. They're like, man, we got to cut this out, man. We're losing too much here. So, yeah, Mozart it is. So,
Oh, that's good. Well, maybe that's where all the pollen's coming from. Is they just
yeah,
been playing too much heavy metal, and
I
everybody,
think so, man.
all the
Yeah,
limbs are going crazy.
yeah. Put a little screamo out there.
Oh, good stuff. Well,
Cut my limb into pieces.
There you go.
wow.
This is my last resort.
My last splinter.
You know, I heard something cool about vegetables recently that's kind of messed me up a little bit.
Mhm.
Yeah, apparently there's no such thing as vegetables.
Man, what about
See,
that whole section in the grocery
look,
store?
and everybody's been telling me to eat my vegetables all the time, and they don't even exist.
See, that's why you don't have to.
It's all a lie.
Chicken tenders and fries it is.
I've been saying that forever. Ever.
These aren't real.
But for real, like seriously, there's no such thing as vegetables, and I can prove it. I'm dumbfounded by this.
Okay.
That doesn't take much, so lay it on us.
I'm glad it's not just the founded.
Okay. All right. So here we go. What is a vegetable? Exactly. All right. So
Good talk.
what you have is you have plants, right?
Mhm.
And those plants produce fruit. Now, if you eat any part of a plant, you're either eating the fruit of the plant, you're eating the leaf, the stem, or the root,
Mm-hmm.
or the flower,
Or the seed.
or the seed.
Yeah, sunflower seeds, yeah. Pumpkin seeds, yeah.
A tomato is a fruit. A cucumber is a fruit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Collard greens, those are leaves. Lettuce, that's a leaf.
what's an onion then?
It's a root, right? Or I mean, if it's chives, it's a leaf. A carrot, a potato, those are roots. There are no vegetables. You've been living a lie.
Does that go down that same conversation with like the nightshades and all that stuff? Like how some vegetables are like, well, as we call them, vegetables are like just terrible for you and like technically poison with a certain amount of them.
Well, I mean, too much of anything is not a great thing, right?
Of course.
But I mean, I guess it depends on what type of nightshade. Like a tomato is a type of nightshade.
Mm.
Yeah.
You know, and a tomato is actually a really, really, really good for your skin. And you could tell a lot by what fruit does for your body, or I'm gonna still use the word anyway. Vegetable. What good a vegetable or a fruit does for your body based on what it looks like. Like a tomato is a very delicate fruit.
Yeah.
But the skin of the tomato protects it beautifully, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of the thing that stands out most about the tomato is its skin. Well, tomatoes are really, really good for your skin for summer months. And that's one of the reasons we should only eat. We should only eat most of our diet should consist of food that is ripe in its season. Like it's okay to eat food out of its season, but the best time to consume a lot of foods is in its season. So you shouldn't be eating a lot of tomatoes during the wintertime. Yeah. You really shouldn't.
So where do we get do you know where do we get the word vegetable? Why is it used in our vocabulary in describing these things that we're to eat?
Well, supposedly the term
allegedly,
vegetable, it has more to do with how we prepare it, how we cook it. So, which is weird that even still tomatoes are still considered fruit, even though you cook them like you would a vegetable. So I don't know. I don't know.
You can stew pears too and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's why ketchup's just chocolate sauce for your, your regular food.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of things dealing with food that's kind of broken my heart this past week.
Diabetes.
Not
Please
diabetes.
cue in the sad music.
Yeah, I know, right? So,
Thank you, Jonathan. I appreciate it.
I know they're not Sabbath observant, but I was still holding out.
Sorta.
I was still holding out for Chick-fil-A, being one of the good ones. I mean, they at least close down on Sunday, what they believe to be the Sabbath. And I'm like, okay, they're still holding strong. They're still a good Christian company, and yada yada yada, and doing right by people. And man, all the ingredients and stuff that's in their food,
Oh, it is horrible.
it's unreal.
Horrible.
Even Chick-fil-A, man.
I know.
Like I was not surprised at all. I was not surprised at all with Taco Bell, or or McDonald's. How 99% of their food is not even food; it's just random chemicals.
No one calls it the taco at Taco Bell God's food.
Yeah.
we all hear this is God's chicken, God's chicken, right?
Yeah,
It's like,
you ain't getting no
this
Jesus
is God's
chicken at Taco Bell.
empanada. This is his, burrito over here. It's like, no. We know what's in Taco Bell ahead of time, and we still
partake.
Enjoy it. We are partakers.
Well, I haven't eaten Taco Bell in a while, and I have no desire to anymore. But no,
leaves more for me and Jonathan.
So I was already disappointed with Chick-fil-A. When I found out they started using the same ingredients that a lot of the other companies were using in their bread, right? The cellulose, which is essentially wood pulp or sawdust, in their bread. And
good.
Yeah, yummy. Digest that, right?
Speaking of trees.
Yeah. If they could talk, if they but no, I found out that the chicken, like I would even understand it with the fried chicken, but the grilled chicken at Chick-fil-A, how many ingredients do you think are in grilled chicken at Chick-fil-A?
I'm gonna go with 3. It would be what it should be.
I'm gonna go with I'm gonna guess. I don't know. I'm gonna guess there's 15 ingredients.
No, it's got to be closer to 40.
Closer to 40?
Yeah.
What we got?
Maybe a full Jubilee worth of them.
I mean, if are you getting ready to tell me it's not even real chicken now?
You tell me.
Okay.
39 ingredients.
Oh, 40
in the grilled chicken. 39 ingredients.
Can you name them all?
No, I can't pronounce
you probably
one
need
of
a degree to name all of them.
Wow, that's too much. That's one too many, at least.
Yeah.
Nothing is sacred anymore. We have no. We're done. We're completely done with our Jesus chicken.
Well, apparently there's enough sugar in everything. Now that's something I've learned within the last months of this year, maybe last year, was the fact that there's a lot of sugar that goes into everything at Chick-fil-A. No wonder it's addictive. No wonder, everything you're eating is just so delicious, because it's like, apparently it's packed full of sugar on top of everything else. Yeah, a little sprinkle.
Yeah. I was, the sauce that, the Chick-fil-A sauce that is really bad for you, that you shouldn't eat, because of sugar and all the other stuff. It has 31 ingredients. 31 ingredients in that, but the chicken itself, the grilled, I'm stressing that, the grilled chicken.
No bread, no nothing.
39 ingredients.
Wow.
I'm done.
I don't know if we can call that God's chicken anymore.
No. Maybe the God of this world, but
yeah.
Well, if there were 616 ingredients, we might be all right.
Evil.
Yep. Nothing's sacred anymore.
Nothing. What do you do?
Make better choices.
Do better, people. Do better, Chick-fil-A.
Yeah. Well, there's hopefully some legislation coming here soon that's going to hopefully get rid of a lot of that in our food. So I'm rooting for it big time because all the other countries, man, you pull up anything from another country versus what we have. We literally have double to triple the amount of ingredients and stuff. And it's like, well, have just a good old home fashioned. It's got wheat and some little bit of sugar and some things, and that's it. That's what you get.
Yep.
You got everything in there. So
even
not a
chemical
fan.
X.
I don't even see with as much stuff as they put in there. I don't even see how it, even with what they're charging, I don't see how it's profitable for them to have all that stuff in there.
Well,
I'll tell you what.
because we eat triple amounts of it. That's why.
Well, yeah, maybe so.
Yeah.
Well, and the other part of it is what we've come to realize over time is half these chemicals are byproducts and waste products of other things that
Yeah.
they're like, hey, we don't know what to do with this fluoride. So let's
Yeah.
just put it in their water and toothpaste and everything else because this was a toxic byproduct we would have normally thrown away and had to pay for. But now you pay us for the junk that we don't want that's going to poison you. But it's all good.
It's all good, man. How about let's sprinkle some yoga mats into the bread also, and hey, we're good to go.
Some yoga mats. It's still chunks. It's still green.
Yeah.
You didn't even bleach it yet. Which is another ingredient, by the way.
Yeah.
And they're changing all the names of all the stuff that we're learning to look out for, like the red dye 40 and the yellow and all that. They're changing all the names of it now. So you can't even pick up a box or bag or can of something and look on it and say, oh, this has got the bad stuff in it now, because they're changing the names of them. So you don't even recognize it.
All natural ingredients.
Yeah.
Naturally from a factory.
Naturally made by somebody. It's all
this is a natural byproduct of waste.
We scraped this from a rear axle. It was naturally created over 40 years.
You want to hear something really gross? And I hope I'm telling this right, but unfortunately, I still like drinking energy drinks and stuff like that. And so I wasn't kidding at the beginning of this when I say I got about 280-ish milligrams of caffeine in me right now. But something that was brought to my attention is the vitamin B, one of 12 or one of the vitamin Bs in there is actually what's scraped off the top of, when your stuff goes to the factory down the road and it gets processed, when you go to the bathroom.
My wastewater? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, wastewater.
You talking about the porcelain fresh?
Yes, sir. I'm talking about the good stuff. Apparently, they are able to take a skimming off the top of that. Stuff floating on top, and they take a skimming of that, and they can turn around and rebrand it as vitamin B12 or B something. And there's actually energy drinks out there that I personally will not drink anymore because it has this particular vitamin B in it. I'm like, are you kidding me? You're literally taking
a synthetic version of that, then.
Yeah, all natural ingredients, baby.
Yeah.
So not that I have one here in front of me, but it's called.
Off camera, like,
and I was like, just put it slightly off camera. Cyanocobalamin. But yeah,
that sounds healthy.
Yeah. And so we're literally, they got us eating bad stuff and drinking poop. So
I don't want to call it that. It's porcelain fresh.
Yeah, porcelain.
Yay.
That could be a good slowing. That'd be a nice T-shirt, wouldn't it?
Yep.
What are you drinking? Porcelain fresh. That's what
a new children's book, Commode and the Toad.
Oh boy.
So bad.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Toilet my people go.
Please.
Oh man.
Please. So you don't partake in the plagues.
Oh man.
Yep.
Not a fan. Let's change the subject.
Yeah, not at all. Well, so Epstein files are getting released.
Yeah.
And that's an item of note.
For the 40th time.
Exactly.
Wait. They're actually being released this time?
Here's what they say. That, well, we've had them. They're available. We might release them mostly. Sort of. But we won't tell you how many there was, so you don't know how much there could be.
Depends on how detrimental it is.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, man. That's been a carrot that's been right out in front of all of us forever. And it's like, you get excited because you're like, hey, finally some justice, finally something. And then like, nope, sorry, we're going to move on to something else. And it's like, okay. Then all of a sudden it resurfaces again. You're like, finally, something. And then it goes, nope, we're going to pull that back again. I'm like, for the love of Pete, just. So what I mean, just between you guys, I think the fact that they're not releasing it, saying that there's probably some high profile people. Because we've got that list, that flight list. Let me tell you something. We got to see like the squeaker part of it. We see like the little bit like they pulled that mat up a hair. And we're like, well, let's just see. Oh, we'll put it back down because I think there's just too many people, guys, that are on there that would just it would raise a lot of questions.
I think it probably has more to do with the involvement rather than just the names on the list. I mean, because they've already come out with some names, right? Some B-list celebrities and stuff like that. And what has happened to those people? A whole lot of nothing, right? Not much of anything has happened. So I'm just curious what it is that's being held back, and the dangling of the carrot, aspect of that. It kind of makes me think that it kind of seems like a legal battle, like there's something going on behind the scenes in the legal area where they're about to release it, and then stuff gets redacted because it gets locked up in court through some loophole, and then they find another loophole to get some stuff opened up, but they lock it down with this one. I don't know. You got to imagine these people have plans on top of plans on top of plans to hide this stuff. You don't get to be in the position you're in and not have somebody watching your back, watching their back kind of thing,
Yeah, what this is for me is going to be just a kind of a test of the current administration. Like there's a phrase that keeps getting thrown around: promise made, promise kept. And you make a lot of promises. We're going to release this. We're going to release that. We're going to save this. We're going to make this healthy again. All right, well, let's see it. This is definitely an opportunity to kind of put your money where your mouth is. And there's a lot of people that are waiting around looking into this stuff, and they're calling foul because they're looking for answers, and they're continually to not get answers. When you get smoke and mirrors, that makes you want to look more, and you get more suspicious. So I'm kind of letting this be like, a test for the administration. All right, you said you were going to do it. You committed to it. We'll wait, but we're not going to wait all day. People are going to start asking questions again.
I mean, what can we do though, other than just wait on them to do something? Like, what are we going to do? Get online and say, release them, no. Boo-hoo, release them. They're not. That doesn't do anything.
Well, the flip side of that, there's Kyle's approach is correct, but there is still the obligations that we have by voting. We do get things done by our voice and by contacting your congressman and stuff like that. Now, how far does that go, and how much does it actually do? I'm not saying any real answers here, but that is what we've been given as regular people, citizens. So we got to do our part, and we voted. And so hopefully things play out the way they're supposed to.
Yeah.
Well, I know my Bible says that no thing in the dark will be left. Everything will be brought to the light, that is not a direct quote, but you get my point,
That wasn't so far the information. Direct quote, I ain't gonna lie. Everything will be upturned and plowed and
roots above the grass. We know.
We might throw some gasoline down to light it on fire too. Something. I mean, something's gonna happen.
Hey, something like that's gonna happen. I promise.
Maybe the trees will talk to each other. Hey, man, did you hear what I heard?
Heard it through the grapevine.
I was listening to those guys in the Super Cannon Plus, and let me tell you. Okay.
But no, this story. I mean, some of this stuff is like almost like James Bond villainy style stories. You got a woman with a submarine, you got a dude with a plane, and a not secret island that supposedly an unnamed boat goes there as part of one of their stops. Like, what's that about? What's going on? You got this weird lodge looking square building with everything looks not above board. That's all. Right. It's just like, how many more foul problem things could you have? I mean, it just seems like it's one thing after another.
Yeah, there's no telling what's what.
It's like every supervillain ever built into one kind of thing.
Right. Who owns a submarine? That's what I want to know.
$1 billion,
Yeah,
please tell me.
Go ahead.
Please tell me they found sharks with lasers.
Not yet. That is to be revealed, I'm sure.
Sharks are on the list.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, the
Is there
last time
any sharks? We need sharks. Big sharks with
The
laser
best.
beams. Yes.
Uh,
But yeah, like I said, I'm just curious, and it's not even so much of the names that are on there. I think we can all imagine who and what and why, but like Pastor Joe brought up at the beginning, this is about some justice. This is about if wrongs have been happened, people need to own up to it, and we need to know that our legal system and our government has our back on that we don't fall prey to some nonsense and it
Right.
just gets brushed under the rug.
Yeah. Well.
There's been enough of that going on. That rug's looking pretty lumpy right now.
Yeah, because not just this case; it's a case.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah. Oh yeah. Well, have you heard about the other supervillain out there, Bill
There's another
Gates?
one
Oh yeah, and what he's
Mm.
been doing in the last couple of years.
Making
So,
computers.
oh yeah,
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 just making everybody's life better, right?
yeah,
Come on,
absolutely.
man. What's
Yeah,
up?
easy
So
mode.
I'm sure you're familiar now that he's been buying up like a ton of farmland
Mm.
in the
Yep.
U.S. Right.
Yep.
Well, apparently, back in 2020, he bought up um, a ton of land in Arizona, and there's a big conspiracy around the idea of all these. I can't say the word now because apparently it's getting flagged, but quote wild hot things, flames, that are happening everywhere, right?
Mm.
In various parts of the country. They
Mm-hmm.
all happen to be in the same general area as to where they've expressed interest for these 15-minute cities.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
hmm And back in 2020, um, Mr. Gates bought 24,000 acres of land just outside a little town called Buckeye, Arizona, and 2,800 acres in Buckeye, and it's very near Phoenix, Arizona. And
Mm.
Phoenix, Arizona is one of those places that was recommended to be one of these 15-minute cities.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure it's all a coincidence, though, Kyle.
Yeah.
No big deal. Nothing to see here.
Well,
No.
interestingly enough, so that's kind of how the theory goes, is that Phoenix is supposedly going to be next on the list.
Uh-oh.
Well, wouldn't you know it? The plot thickens yet again. There are a few insurance companies out there. To name a few, Allstate and State Farm are two of the big ones
Mm-hmm.
that are canceling people's policies
Hmm.
that have stipulations for what if a wild flame were to take place.
Mm.
Yep, and they're canceling all of those wild flame policies.
It's
Nice.
almost like someone told them about what's about getting ready to happen.
It's almost right. So
Almost.
hey, do with that information as you will. But
I've heard of inside trading, but this is a little bit,
right, and now Phoenix is deemed high risk for that thing.
Wow.
oh boy.
Yeah.
Well, there's some people outside and they're looking and they're observing and they're seeing things. They're like, there's some details that are happening here. Other people are inside looking through windows to try to figure out what's going on. And I think those conversations that are inside are, a little more detailed than what we think. I think there's some people that are really pushing some narratives and some other details. And I honestly, I just can't believe it. That those things rage on, and there's a lot of loss of property and land and house,
Mhm.
and you lose everything in those situations. There's nothing to go back to a lot of times, and that's I just couldn't imagine.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yep. Can you imagine being the people living there right now and having to make that decision too? Like if we're just going to have to uproot and move and
Oh,
yeah,
that's if they are aware of the information.
yeah.
Right.
Like, all right,
Well, they
guys,
better be listening to us right
that's
now.
right. Make sure you
Okay.
share the podcast, guys.
That's
You know,
true.
people live in Arizona, send it out to them.
That's right. That's right. I don't know. I mean, I pray that that's incorrect, but I mean, my goodness.
Well, we've had a lot of weird stuff happening. So we've had some hurricanes and last year and places that never see hurricanes getting hurricanes and
Right?
it's yeah,
Mm,
yeah,
mm,
it's
mm.
almost say about it right now.
Well, what I've been trying to figure out.
Just make sure your house and your roof is painted blue if you live in Arizona. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. Make sure it's blue.
Things are getting
There's gonna be a
biblical.
big run on Sherman-Williams and Bear paint for blue. Everybody's like, I mean, I'm talking about the grass and everything. Just make everything blue.
It's look like Boise State football field.
Yes, just do it.
Nice.
That's too funny. Oh man, so I was trying to figure out. I had my thermometer out, and I was like, what is the temperature of fire? The problem is you can't get too close. The best number I got was the best number I got was 1963. But really, that was the number that JFK was assassinated. So what was funny about that was whenever I was looking at some details recently.
That was smooth.
Yeah, that was smooth like chunky peanut butter. Keep on going, brother.
I just left a few bumps in the road. No, but back in 1963, that was a long time ago, and I definitely wasn't around for those days. But when we were looking at, we were talking about the Epstein files a minute ago, and now with this new administration, like I said, what's exciting is just so much new stuff's going on. So I don't know if you guys heard, but they're talking about 80,000 documents being released about the whole assassination attempt or success, and who, what, when, where. We don't know what's going to be in these files. It's going to be a whole new opportunity for us to dig and to learn and see a little bit behind the scene of what's going on.
Now, I heard they were going to, Trump said he was going to release them or whatever, but like, have they actually put a date on that or anything, like, or what they were going to release, or what have you heard?
Yeah, last I checked, it was March 18th. They're supposed to be releasing 80,000 documents. So who knows what's on them, but
really,
why March 18th? Was there anything significant about that date at all, or has anything popped up about that being like why?
I don't think there's anything specific on the date. I think it's more of just a timing thing of they had to get everybody in place, they had to get everybody sworn into all their positions, and then they said, hey, look it all over, make sure it's safe. It's not going to give away any national secrets or land the entire government in prison. So it's been enough time. A lot of those, what do they call that? Where the period of where you can't get in trouble anymore. That whole time period's gone over.
Yeah.
Statute of limitations.
That's the word.
Yeah. I knew I was smart somewhere, but but I think some of that period's gone. I think most of the people that were involved in have already passed on, so there can't be any like, let's go raid this dude's house or whatever.
Right.
That's convenient.
But I mean, it's better to know than not know.
Yeah,
true.
Well, speaking of that, have you guys ever seen the footage? And I've caught it a few times online where it shows that the driver was the one that actually shot him.
Yes.
Have you seen that, Jonathan?
I have seen it.
That is disturbing. I'm talking about like literally right over the shoulder and just. And I think, and they say that's why his wife was like trying to, like, when she saw that's what made her jump, because she's literally seeing him turn around and shoot, and it was like, I think she probably thought she was next.
Right.
So, she's like, I'm, kind of, and then you see them, they're kind of like, nope, stay now. And so it's.
She was trying to crawl out of the back of the car.
Yeah.
Like she's trying to
While
crawl
it was
over
driving.
the trunk.
Yeah.
While it was driving. Yeah. She was trying to get away from that dude that just did that. Exactly. And they, so the people who've gone over that footage, they've actually proven that the footage that we've been seeing all our lives was doctored, and there's like a half a tree or something like in that
the floating
footage.
tree.
Well, it's actually floating in the
right.
Yeah.
And then when they were able to kind of bring it back, it actually shows the driver turning and doing that. Man, I believe that that's most likely the case. I personally believe that is most likely the case.
Yeah.
So
I mean, could you imagine being Jacqueline at that time, and she's just, I mean, because no one's seeing this coming. I mean, that's the thing about it, is like, just literally, and here's the crazy part. So she knows. You see what I'm saying? She knows. And this woman has to now live her life in secret, live all this stuff. I'm sure they went to her and was like, hey, Lyndon B. Johnson's
or else.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Because, hey, if we just took out the president of the United States literally in front of your eyeballs,
and everyone,
you know what I'm saying?
in front of the entire world. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So imagine her having to carry that for the rest of her life.
And then all the other Kennedys that got taken out.
Right.
Various random things.
President Bobby, right? His brother Bobby got taken out as well. And it's like, they were definitely sending a message. And I just couldn't imagine being the wife next to her husband, and just literally you see it, and then you get to hear the narrative that they're playing out for the rest of the world about this Oswald's, way over here, like a mile or 2 miles up the road, and actually got 2 headshots in that far away perfectly, and it's
on
like
a moving target.
On a moving target, and then of course Oswald later, he's, so
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
now it wasn't quite that far. I've actually been to the book depository and all that.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, I went there and toured all that stuff when I was growing up. It really wasn't that far
How
away.
far away do you know? I don't know the official distance. Do you know?
It is definitely something that a marksman probably could have done once,
Okay.
but
So it's about
with the
265 feet.
but with the equipment that he was using to have that kind of precision in a high pressure, he wasn't that well trained,
Right.
right? Like he wasn't like a sniper per se. If I
Okay.
remember
But did he
correctly,
lick his finger and put it in the sky for the wind?
right? Like there was,
He
there
adjusted
was,
for the rotation of the Earth. Also, don't forget
yeah.
about that.
Coriolis effect.
Yep.
So I mean, you can be a good shooter or whatever, but when you put all those factors into play and the equipment that he's working with and the lack of training and all this other stuff, I mean, it's just
Yeah.
nonsense.
Yeah.
In addition to that, when you tie in the fact that the Secret Service, like their whole deal is to make sure that the entire area is going to be secure. Like,
Mhm.
right, people on the rooftops and all this stuff. Their their goal is to make sure that there's not an open window accessible. Right?
Yeah.
So
Well, last year in Pennsylvania was supposedly safe as well,
yeah.
and that's 2024.
Well, in my that was either that was either intentional for the sake of trying to get him dealt with, in my opinion, or intentional for the sake of faking stuff to make him look like a bigger hero. Either way, I don't think that was as real as everybody thinks it was. Now,
Yeah.
that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to receive some comments for that one, but you know, I don't personally think that was all on the up and up.
Yeah.
Yeah, but with like a lot of the JFK stuff, well, the reason why it was interesting to me was, like, yeah, of course, any kind of assassination or assassination attempt is a big deal. That's that's our commander in chief. That's a big deal. That's
Right.
not just, any life is a big deal, but somebody that's like that, you're essentially, top dog around the world. It's a big deal. But it was more of the why. That's kind of what got to me is like, why hide this? Why was the big push to even if somebody felt like doing this. It wasn't like he owed money in a gambling bet or something. I mean, there was something else going on behind the scenes that was the push
Right.
for that. And you come to find out about Big Bank, Secret Society, a lot of the
Mhm.
stuff that he was talking about and wanted to release and to share with the American people as the leader. And then he never got an opportunity to share that information. And it's been locked away for all this time.
Long time.
Well,
And
that's what. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
That's what still makes me question things. So, I mean, I get that the statute limitations have run out, so there's certain people that won't be able to be implicated. But I mean, the thing that was going to be revealed was kind of the powers that be, not the people that were in the power.
Right.
Right.
I mean, yes, it would have revealed the people, but I mean, the power, the whole movement, the whole behind the scenes machine that was working. And
Hmm.
I'm sorry, but I can't for even a moment think that machine isn't working very well today. So to be honest with you, I don't care near as much about the who as I do the what,
Exactly.
Hmm.
and I'd be willing to
Well,
bet that's
a
probably
lot, a
not
lot
going to
of
be
times
revealed.
knowing the who's gonna lead you to the what, though.
Well, yeah, it's going to take a special kind of person with a very particular set of skills to be able to dig that information up. I just don't think it's going to be made available to us. That's my opinion.
So do you think there's gonna be a full disclosure then, or you
Abs-
don't think there will be?
Absolutely not.
I don't think
Absolutely
we'll
not.
ever get a full version.
I think that we may get some individuals that are involved, but I don't think we're ever going to be getting organizations.
I
And
think
any organizations that do get revealed are ones that they're already planning to shut down.
Right.
right.
You know what I mean? Like
Or
they're
that are
not
shielded
going
to a certain extent.
Well, and
Correct.
a
Like
lot of it
they're
too
not
is
serving the
why.
purpose that they want them to serve anymore.
The question that I have too is why now? Exactly. I mean, I think it's going to. There's got to be a reason other than disclosing the truth. There's a lot of things out there, that we would like to get to the bottom of. And why now? Why now is at the time for this to be revealed? And what benefit is it? And all that good stuff. And I guess we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, it might be a good follow up for us on one of our recordings coming up soon, just to say, hey, this either good or bad, weigh it out. And see where it goes.
I can tell you right now, I think it's to make whoever is revealing the information look like heroes. Everything's perception, right? It's
right.
Everything's intentional, everything's planned, everything's perception in the eyes of the people. How does these groups or these people look in the eyes of the people?
Yep. Yeah. I agree with you on that.
That's a great point. Well, not only that, but you're talking about like hiding stuff and revealing stuff and making certain people look a certain way. When Israel became a nation not that long ago, 50 years or so, right? At the same time, there was the Dead Sea Scrolls that were found. And that so you're talking about timing. That's always been a timing question for me. How is it that the Dead Sea Scrolls were found right about the same time that the nation of Israel was founded? Like I'm talking almost 1-to-1. That's a timing issue for me.
Yeah, too many coinky dinks.
Now I know you're a young fella, Jonathan. You're youngest guy out of the group, and 50 seems like a big number to you. Okay, but as far as age, but I
can't count that many fingers.
I know, man. You had to pull the shoes off, start counting toes, get the kids to come in there, hold your hands up, all that stuff. But I want to say Israel became a nation about 70 years ago, wasn't it? Not 50?
70. Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
it was more than
I'm gonna say, because
yeah.
I'm 54, so I know within my lifetime is not when that happened. It was way before me.
Like what, 77 years?
Yeah, it's been over 70 years.
Yeah. Wow. Over 50.
I like to do the
look at me doing math.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you're a mathematician, man. You got.
I didn't look very hard.
Yeah.
No, I was thinking 1947, which was around 1950, and that number just stuck, and I had to deal with it. So
it's all good, bro. It's all good. That's what I'm here for, man. That's what I'm here for.
But yeah, so they're
great for nothing, okay?
Yeah, you had to earn that one. But no, it's just interesting to me to see that, like, such a profound release of information. I mean, yeah, this one wasn't released by any government agency or entity or whatever, or maybe it was, but
or was it?
Exactly. But it was found and released, but it took forever for that to finally get out. It was like, oh, we found it, but you don't get to see it for a long time.
I mean, my goodness, it was what, 20 plus years before anything at all came out?
What it actually has been within the last 20 to 25 years that we've actually had more access to it. So for the first 50 years of the Dead Sea Scrolls, we were given very little of any of it. And it's been within the last 20 plus years that we've actually got more of a fuller copy, or got to see the fullness of the copies that they found. And they got the Dead Sea. You can go online and you can download the Dead Sea Scrolls right now. I think it's about 700 to 800 pages long. But so, yeah, 20 years is not very long, gentlemen, to have this all of a sudden. Okay, we've been holding on to it. And look, the story out there, Kyle, is this: that they purposely were doing it because they started seeing what it was, whoever that is. And we're like, we need to hold on to it. We need to kind of hold on to this information a little bit longer. And it wasn't until someone stepped up and said, hey, whoa. You guys have been sitting on this for about 50 years now. And it's time that the public actually gets to see what it is that you've been finding and what's on these scrolls that's been found in these caves. So,
yeah, because what they call it a discovery of a lifetime, and you sit on it and don't release it. You're like, this is one of the biggest not only religious, biggest historical account of ever. I mean, they're finding paper, 2,000-year-old paper, and they're like, this is crazy. This is not normal. And they're like, no, shh, don't say anything. Like, let's just. But what it seems like is it was time for them to build up a narrative. That's the only explanation I can give for it is, all right, we found it. It's making one thing true and one thing not. And we can't make heads or tails of this, so we got to spin our own story. And then when we release it, we'll say, "Oh, it was just some weird guys, and they didn't know what they were doing," and
no
just dismiss
deal.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's one of those nothing to see here, folks. No, no, no. Yeah, yeah. We got full copies of Isaiah and all these other. No, nothing to see here at all. Don't worry about it. And on top of that, the crazy part is what I believe there's been like a layering of cover ups for me personally is all of a sudden they couldn't stop the release of the information, but
Mm,
what people have been trying to do is taint who the information comes from.
right.
And so instead of it being of the Zadokite priesthood, instead of it being of good godly people that are also known as the way, all of a sudden, and this isn't anything against anybody. If you're watching this and you're of the tribe of the Essenes, I have nothing against you at all whatsoever. Okay, no hate mail, but unfortunately, I think to skew people away. Oh, these are just the Essenes. They were weird. Kyle, they were weird people. Kyle knows about weird people. He lives in Georgia, okay? So, I mean, Kyle, you know these things, right? Just don't worry about it. It was the Essenes, Kyle. They took baths every day, and they
Oh
were just
no.
weird about cleanliness, Kyle. Don't look at anything they were doing, Kyle. Oh, you mean they had like full copies of Jubilees, and there is a full copy of Enoch apparently that was sold on private auction. Oh,
Did
Mm.
you say my name
you've
one
got
more
all
time?
these copies of the Old Testament and all this stuff. Hey, but these are by the crazy people. These are the Essenes. And come to find out, it wasn't the Essenes. The Essenes lived like 25 or 30 miles in the other direction
Hmm.
and really didn't have that
Right,
influence over that community that
right.
we've been being told.
Right.
So,
And that's not a modern 25 miles. That was a back then 25
that was
miles.
back then.
Right.
Today
Yeah,
that's 20, 30 minutes. Back then that
Right,
was a lot.
right.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Okay, so why that? I mean, that all, even that is a part of the cover up to me.
Yeah, it
Hmm.
Is
is. Absolutely.
ge- uh,
We're going to attach what we look, man. Hollywood does it all the time. Hey, look at all the famous people that supposedly went crazy.
mhm,
We
yeah.
could list them. We're not going to do it, but we could list them all. And people, oh well, they just went crazy, so we're just not. We're just going to put them in a corner somewhere. Don't listen to anything they're saying. They're crazy. I think it's the same ploy. It's like, hey, these are the Essenes. They were weird. Nothing
Well,
to see here, folks.
no,
Yep.
I mean they're specifically covering up the real people that were there. They're putting another people
Absolutely.
group in its place. Where have we seen that happen before?
Mm,
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
don't know what you're talking about.
I wonder.
Hmm. Israel. All
Well, yeah.
right, sorry, I had to clear my throat there. I apologize about that,
Yeah.
guys.
And it's been real.
Well,
Hey, was it Jeremiah or Isaiah? I think
I think it was Isaiah.
I. wh-
Well, I'm answering
What
ahead of
was my
time. Finish your
question?
question. Finish your question.
You buzzer beater. One of the books that's in our canon, the copy that they found there that was complete, and it matches up identically to what we have in our modern version. Was it Isaiah or Jeremiah?
Isaiah.
Yeah, I
It
believe it was
was Isaiah.
Isaiah.
I,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought
I
so.
was right.
Yeah.
See, hey, sometimes it works out, you know.
Yeah.
Hey man, broke clock is right twice a day, right? So, yeah.
There you go.
As
I
long
just
as
have
not
to. I'll make sure I put this one on my calendar though.
right, right.
It just amazes me, man, what they do to cover stuff up. It's
Well,
unreal.
and with the cover up, I'm just like still amazed by what was in the cave, right? And of course they have a story. Oh, there was a boy and a shepherd and a rock, and they heard a clay pot break. Yeah, and he's a 3-point shooter, and all this kind of stuff. So it's like they're in the cave, and they find papyrus, which is
Mhm.
essentially old school paper, and like
Is that what
skins
you
and
used to blow
stuff.
things up with? No, I'm sorry, that's Tannerite. Never mind. Keep going.
No, what they were tanning was the hides that they then
Yeah,
wrote
there you
on.
go.
Right, right.
But yeah, so they're finding skins and papers in pots, and this by today's standards impossible. Like I can't do this today, make paper survive that long, make skins last that long. It's going to deteriorate and fold up and just
Right.
disappear into dust. But modern technology, so if you guys haven't heard this, right? So modern technology, they were able to take some of these scrolls that were so tightly wrapped and like solid, like it was like unopenable. If they opened it, they would have destroyed it.
It would,
Right.
yeah,
They
completely
got
just
this like
fall to
gamma
pieces.
ray something super ray scanner.
They had Bruce Banner there.
Exactly. So instead of Hulk smashing it, he was able to look through it and be able to read the front and the back of the writing through the circle of the scroll and layer it each page one by one. So
Yep.
they were able to read a scroll
Wow.
with it rolled up and completely impossible to read by human eyes. But because of this new machine they have, read it as if they unfolded it and it rolled out like a flat piece of paper on digital.
That's
It was
incredible.
crazy.
Wow. And
Yeah, it is.
just think, with that kind of technology, we might one day be able to have a machine that can tell us what a woman actually means when she says something.
That'll never happen. They can take all the quantum physics of everything. They could, I mean,
What does
you
she
take
really
the most
mean when she
juiced
says
up
everything's
AI out
fine?
there. Let me tell you something. You go to AI right now and go, "Hey AI, explain to me all the ins and outs of a woman." You'd be like, cannot compute. I'll come back
Hey,
later."
that's how we shut down AI, bro.
That's it.
Hey, we know how to win
Oh,
this thing now.
we don't
Nah.
need to have Arnold Schwarzenegger and the Terminator and Skynet and all this stuff. Just go in there and answer that simple question. Hey, guys,
What
can you
does a
tell me?
woman mean when she says everything is fine?
I got one better for you. You know how you can tell AI is a male? Because it can't answer that question.
Oh man, we might put that thing in the brain freeze or something. And be like, speaking of Bill Gates, they'd be showing him, "What did you do? What did you do?" Hey, speaking of blowing up things, though, with Tannerite, now I don't know if you guys heard this or not, but I recently heard that in Cave 7, if I'm not
Hmm.
mistaken, and this is hard to find. I must have came across a YouTube video or something, or maybe whatever it was. I remember briefly seeing this about a week ago, but guess what else they found in the Dead Sea Scrolls, or
Water.
found in the caves?
Okay.
Apparently, they said allegedly, 'cause that's the word Kyle likes to use a lot, is allegedly. They have found the New Testament writings in Cave 7.
Hmm.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, man. Now, the crazy part is we're talking about things being covered up and things being pushed to the side and the wrong people group being presented. And we're just going to sit on this for 50 years and yada, yada. Well, apparently, Cave 7 had a collapse,
Hmm.
conveniently had a collapse. Yeah.
This story fell
Yeah.
apart quick.
Yeah.
Not
And
funny.
so the
Not bad
information is,
timing.
yeah, I know, right? The information is very limited right now, but apparently Cave 7 had a collapse. But what I've heard is they actually retrieved those documents out, and I believe it's saying that they found writings, and they believe it to be a First Timothy that they found within those. So
That's a good one.
hopefully, hey, look, what I really, all we really want is to see the truth revealed, right?
Yep.
Right.
Everything, guys, we've been talking about, it's about truth being revealed,
Mhm.
right? And I'll be honest with you, I want to know more about that right now. That concerns me more now than the JFK files. I'll be honest with you.
Oh yeah.
Right.
That concerns me more than the Epstein files, so to speak. Now, the Epstein files to me are very important because that's more current and it has to deal with children. And guys, we don't play with that whatsoever. Okay.
Not a bit.
When it comes to the kids, it needs to stop, period. But let's go back to this. So, Cave 7, they said there was a collapse. Some report that there was an explosion, but they were able to retrieve those documents out. So, what comes forward from there? Hopefully, we get to hear something soon.
Okay. Are you positive on it being Cave 7?
The information I got, that's what I heard was Cave 7. Did you have something different?
Well, no, I mean, I just have a question on that. So, you know, it's just odd to me because my assumption is that everything had already been cleared out of at least 11 caves
Right,
already.
right.
So if everything's already been cleared out of
So
11 caves, then how is it that
you're
how is this new collapse affecting anything if everything's
right,
already, and that was cave 7?
right.
How would that have any
I
effect whatsoever
I
on
wish I had more
anything?
information for you, Kyle, but I don't. I'm just saying that's what I heard. Now Cave 7 might be the wrong cave when I was researching it.
Mhm.
That's what came up in the research is that was Cave 7. Now, here's the thing. Then just saying it out loud, I wonder if this is something that happened a while back and is just now being revealed.
Mm.
Is what I'm looking at because I was thinking the same thing. I was like, Cave 7. I was like, that's kind of early in the whole getting
Process.
stuff out, right?
Right.
So it makes me wonder is if all of a sudden they knew something was going to be leaked or something was going to happen. I don't know.
Mhm.
Was there anything left in there? But
Hmm.
if we get some more information on it, or if I get some more information, I'll gladly share again another time. But yeah, that's what I've gotten so far. But to research it, you come up very
Yeah, good
limited.
luck. Yeah. Well, I
Well,
wonder too if it's like, the caves are always segmented and there's sections and portions. So I wonder if it was like, hey, they found an offshoot and they
Yeah.
were like, oh, while we were searching further, an offshoot, how about if we just close this off? No one will ever look in there again because
mhm.
caves are caves. They rumble, they crumble. There's lots of booms going on in there. So, sometimes, you could just, that's just natural occurring. But if there's all these little secret passages and hideaways and stuff, I wouldn't put it past it for them to continue finding stuff. I mean,
Yeah, that's
we still
true.
Yeah.
find stuff in our backyards half the time. We're like, I didn't notice this back here. When did I
Yeah.
buy this?
Yeah.
Right?
Especially here in South Carolina, Kyle, this, that you can
Oh
go
yeah.
through. We can find arrowhead, shark teeth. I mean, you just name it. Old World War, or not World War, but Civil War.
Yep.
Stuff out there, and yeah, that's a lot of things still buried in the dirt.
When you found the shark's teeth, were the lasers still attached?
No,
Unfortunately, no.
Okay.
no.
I mean, I did find a laser one time. It was not still attached, and the batteries were dead. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
It
and
was supposed to
it's
be solar powered, but it was saline powered.
yeah, it's hard to date those things.
All right. Could you imagine a megalodon with a giant laser beam? Now, this is the largest predator in the ocean, but now it's like,
What are this 90s morning cartoons?
yeah, I know, right? All
All
we need
right.
is Godzilla to show up.
So real quick before we finish this part up, the Dead Sea Scrolls were discovered in 11 caves near the site of
Mm.
Qumran, with some evidence suggesting a 12th cave may also have held scrolls. And then it says, let's see, while the scrolls are widely known to have been found in 11 caves, researchers have announced the discovery of a 12th cave near Qumran, which may have also held scrolls. And that was in 2017.
Mm.
So yeah, that's why it kind of threw me off when you said Cave 7, because I'm like, there's more than them. So, but yeah, you're right, guys. Though I mean, there could be little offshoots inside there, and yeah,
And for all we know, they're just really trying to twist that story up to make it not even sound credible.
right,
You know what I
right.
mean?
Well, I mean,
Well,
my goodness, we got the Enoch scroll, which supposedly the only complete version of that that's out there is held by a private collector
Yep.
that's not
nice.
willing to even share a picture of what it looks like, let alone open it up and let anybody read it or anything else. So
Yeah, because if you guys, I know I've been reading it recently, and come to find out, there's all these little small chapters, and I was like, oh man, Enoch was just quick to the chapter break in here, and you're like, no, it's because they're fragments. So the modern book that we have today of First Enoch is just a ton of little fragments, and collections of other scrolls and whatnot, all kind of pushed together. So to have a full copy of the
Mhm.
original thing, I mean, can you put a value on that?
right,
I mean, almost no.
absolutely not.
Right. And it makes you wonder, it talks about, knowledge will increase in the end days. It's like, hey,
Hmm.
are we getting some more knowledge? We're finding out with all the skeptics and all the atheists, and oh, that Bible's not real. It was just made by a bunch of men. Oh,
Yep.
it was just a bunch of hogwash. And you're like, oh, not only is it real, here's all the actual, literal, physical evidence for everything you said that's not real. And they're like, yeah, now you can go home and be quiet because now this
Did
is
you just
real.
say hogwash? They're using unclean. Yeah.
Yeah.
Real quick though, I was looking up on YouTube, and there is a video. I have not listened to it yet, but I saw within the video it says Mark chapter 4 verse 28 found in the Dead Sea Scrolls, and it's saying Cave 7.
Mm.
And
Okay.
this is a video from 5 years ago.
Oh
So
dang.
talk about like, just push it on down. So
Huh.
yeah, a video that's 5 years ago on Mark 428 being found the Dead Sea Scrolls only has 1,000 views on it from 5 years ago.
Wow.
So think about that. That
Well,
right there, would to me would just be like, oh my gosh, everybody wanting to find out if this is real or not. But no, 1,000 views in 5 years on that. Oh,
well, did we not? Okay, maybe I'm completely wrong on this. I'm just
it's a good chance.
I just got to entertain this thought real quick. Did they not find a Hebrew version of Matthew in one of the caves at one time?
No.
Okay, so I'm thinking very wrong on that. But we do
Yeah.
have a Hebrew Matthew
The
available
Hebrew
somewhere.
Matthew, if I'm not mistaken, was actually supposedly copied.
A more modern type thing.
Yeah, by
Like
a
Masoretic
guy
type
who's
thing.
a rabbi who said he had the original. If memory serves me correct, he claims that he has the original copy of the Hebrew Matthew. He copied it, let that go into circulation, but would not let anybody see the original.
How convenient.
Right.
Ah.
Yeah. No, it's funny because you're talking about that video having, like 1,000 or some odd views. That was about how many views we got the other night with the blood moon that was out. It was like for us on the East Coast, it was 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning.
I got
I can
pictures.
Okay, I considered it this much, and I was like, you know what? That's probably got 1,000 views by itself because everybody was asleep. But I went through and watched the time lapse and looked at it. It's really cool to see the way creation works in the sky, and
Yep.
we're getting ready to have the spring equinox. The whole green time coming back again. Hence the pollen we were talking about, and to have a blood moon in the middle of the night, that was really cool.
So I actually did stay up.
Oh,
And I got to see a large portion of it from the beginning to the middle to the end. And I
Mhm.
didn't stay out there the whole time. Obviously that's an all night adventure. I didn't do that, but I went out and checked it periodically. And it was really something that was really, really weird to me was the last portion of it as it was kind of going away, the quote unquote eclipse shadow or whatever. It was not circular.
Right.
There were like little, almost like limbs. If you could imagine the shadow of a tree, like through the
Right.
moonlight, like on the ground or whatever, right?
Mhm.
Um, but with only a few limbs or whatever. But looking at the shadow of a tree from a distance, that's kind of what it looked like. The shadow that was left on the moon.
There you go.
Well, that's when it was like full blood there, right?
Well, pretty
I'm
close.
I'm
Yeah.
talking about when it
This
was
ain't
going
this ain't
away.
Rambo.
Yeah,
If there's blood.
yeah.
But
But
yeah.
yeah, it was really weird, man. It's like the remaining shadow or whatever that was there, whatever that is.
Mm.
It was like it had little fingers to it. I don't know.
All
It
right.
was really odd.
All right. So yes, I stayed up till 3 o'clock in the morning. I actually went out. It was about 1 o'clock in the morning, and so the picture I got was it was probably about halfway there, about 1 in the
Mhm.
morning.
Mhm.
I said, okay. I said, me and Kyle, we're both night owls. We like staying up late anyway. So I should have called you. I should have been like, hey Kyle,
You should
you
have.
see the Big Dipper, Kyle? But that's the inside joke. But anyway, I'm looking at it. So all right, if you didn't know this, go out there with a modern phone and take a picture of the moon at night. Now, depending on where it's at, how large the moon is in the sky, yada yada. Jonathan's really good. I've watched Jonathan get, because when you zoom in max, you get that little box at the right. I don't know. So Kyle, you don't use Android, so you don't count. But anyway, um, you get a little box up in the right hand side that helps you kind of dial in. To get
Mhm.
there on that spot. And what I learned, I think it was about a year ago, me and Jonathan, I think me and you talked about this, was
Yeah.
they actually will, if you take a picture of the moon,
Mhm.
it's not your picture.
Right.
They actually have a preloaded picture of the moon.
Yeah.
What?
Cue
Yeah.
the surprise. Oh, what?
Yeah. They drop in
What?
a canned
Yeah.
image knowing what day it is and what phase it is, and they'll drop a picture on top, an overlay.
Yes.
That's why when you're taking a picture with your
Wow.
phone, it looks so crispy, clear, perfect. You're like, hey, it's a cell phone. Come on.
So the
Wow.
picture I have on my phone of when it was supposedly about halfway, but it's a nice crisp picture and everything's dark and the moon looks so good. As I'm taking the picture, I went, this is not what I'm looking at. This is my phone generated an image for me and took away what was actually taking place. Let me say this.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dude.
So what I had to do is this. The other pictures I have on my phone, and of course I stay up at 3 in the morning, so I'm pretty much getting the full eclipse, right? So I'm getting the full blood red moon. I would have to take the picture super fast. As soon as I dialed in, I'd take the picture very quickly because all of a sudden I'd watch the picture change and then the image would rotate and stop and it would be a perfect picture of the moon, but not what I was actually seeing.
Wow.
So it would not even allow it. So it's like, hey, you talk about cover-ups? We got cover-ups everywhere, baby. It's happening around us everywhere. You can't eat Chick-fil-A. Okay.
Yeah.
You can't. I mean, you can. Let me just say that. You can. Okay. But just know going into it, they ain't God's chicken. Okay. That's all I'm going to tell you. It ain't 11 herbs and spices or whatever it is. This is crazy stuff. From Bill Gates to JFK to all these things. And now you can't even take a picture of the moon and it be what you're taking a picture of. So conspiracy theories everywhere. Nothing's real anymore. It's all fake. And you
can't even trust your video and you can't even trust your video or your picture.
Matter of fact, Kyle, when we get together, next time we get together, and I'll show Jonathan probably before you, but what's funny is and I don't even know what it's called on the phone. When you take a picture and you go back and look at it, there's a little bit of a motion and it stops. Well, in the motion, I was able to do it reverse. In the motion part of the picture, it goes to the fake moon, and because I kept moving the camera just a little bit, it actually pops it back into what the actual image is, and I quickly take the picture.
Right.
But on my phone, it's cool because whatever that is, that part on the picture where it actually moves, I can show you the very first picture that was going to give me was the fake moon, and I was able to manipulate it enough to where it showed me the red moon. So anyway, yeah, nothing's sacred no more, man. You can't. Everything's a cover up.
Yep, and that was a big marketing thing for Samsung too. They were like, hey, the Galaxy, the first phone where you can zoom in times 100 and get a clear picture of the moon. You're like, well, of course you can if you just throw it in there. Get a picture of whatever you want. You can get a picture of Finding Nemo if you want to.
Wow. Oh,
yeah. So yeah, there you go, gentlemen. There you go.
So nothing's real. Trust the Lord with all your heart, mind, and soul. We'll see you next time. God bless.
All right. Shalom.